Hello again. Well, it seemed that everyone really enjoyed my video recording of last week's community edit, so I'm going to keep this going every week, and at least as long as I have time to do it, I'm going to edit the current week's community edit for you, and that way you'll get to see exactly what I did and how I approached the photograph. This is a really cool shot. We got a nice little waterfall here. It was submitted by Steve over on the forum, and it's a really good shot. Really, really cool landscape. I'm really gonna have a lot of fun editing this one, I think. So we have some nice fall colors coming in. They're not. It doesn't look like they're at peak. I don't know how dramatic the fall foliage gets out in this part of the country. Being from New England, we have many different colors and many different types of trees and whatnot, but this looks like it may be a little early in the season. Anyway, let's jump into the edit here. I think overall it's pretty good. It just needs a little bit of sprucing up a little, I think. I'm going to try and recover some of this sky. There's highlights up here that look to be a little bit blown, or maybe it's just clouds. But either way, I'm going to try and do that. There's a nice little hut up here, and if you head over to the forum, Steve actually shared a shot that kind of shows the view that these people have in this house, which is just incredible. Anyway, let's jump into the edit here. I'm going to increase the exposure and really kind of brighten things up, particularly this foreground, and then we'll come back in later and deal with the top of the image there. I'm going to add quite a bit of contrast here. Drop the highlights down and see what this does. So that does bring stuff in. You can see here we're starting to get some detail in these clouds, but you also are noticing that the sky here is pretty much gone. So we're going to have kind of a weird situation going on where we have a lot of white space that we can't really recover, but that's okay. It's just going to be part of this photo. Let's see here. I think I'm going to go with a little extra clarity here, and then a little extra vibrance to really make those colors pop out. Increasing some shadows to bring in a little more light, and then we can maybe drop down the exposure just a bit there. I'm going to see what happens. I'm not too optimistic that we'll be able to get too much color back in here, but I'm gonna take an adjustment brush here and just paint in the sky and see how things come out. You never really know what it's gonna look like until you do it, so that's kind of why I like to go about doing this. Right now you can see I actually have stuff set to be, it's actually adding exposure and highlights, which is kind of the opposite of what we want to do. So I'm going to drop the highlights down, drop the exposure down. You can see here what happens is we get a little bit more blue in this region here, but our clouds kind of go to, pretty much get destroyed by all of this extra reduction in exposure. So what we can do, we can either really have typical white clouds and no blue sky, or we can have a little bit of blue sky, and then we get these kind of ominous looking, almost like they're pollution clouds. But what you can do, if you have the patience, is you can go in and you can kind of erase some of these things. And I'm actually going to drop my flow down quite a bit here. So we're going to kind of erase what we don't want to be, all these really dark clouds here. So it's going to take a minute because it's just one of those like kind of fine detail things. And for the sake of the video and keeping it short, I'm going to do this fairly quickly. If I was doing this on like my own photograph, something that I was planning to print or sell, I would spend a lot more time going through and even zooming in and getting these things perfect. But this is just to kind of show you what you can do in Lightroom to recover what almost seem to be unrecoverable highlights, and it's really just a matter of how much time you're willing to put into things. Now, one other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a new brush here, and I'm going to come into this little lower area here and really kind of paint in, and I may even see what will happen if I add a little extra. So what I'm doing here is I'm cooling down this area here, and what that's going to do is it's going to add a little bit of blue to the photo, and by doing that I kind of am almost cheating in a way, because what I basically did was change this white area in the middle here, which is basically what it looks like. Is it's just low or high level clouds that are just catching the reflection, and what I ended up doing with that is actually just painting it in with a cooler color, and that basically turns it blue, so it kind of blends in with the sky a little better. Now, it's not perfect. There's a lot of fine-tuning and tweaking that you can do with this to get it in better shape, but I think it is a little bit better than where it was. Of course, that's going to be up to you to determine what you think is right for the photograph, but that's how I would do it. I would obviously spend a little more time on that if I was doing it for myself, but I think this is pretty good. One thing I am going to do is come in here and I'm going to actually add a little more. I'm going to cool the whole photo down just a little bit, maybe even add a little magenta in to or maybe take it out. I don't know. We'll do something like this. There's some things that I like about it, and there's some things that I don't like about what's going on here. It's one of those things where we're getting kind of some really weird coloring going on. But like I said, if I wanted to zoom in and really spend a lot of time painting in all these different areas, I think I could get it to be a lot better. That said, I think overall the photograph has come a long way. I may change the entire white balance just a little bit here. I like going a little cooler. I've been kind of going cooler on a lot of my photographs lately. I used to always warm photos up, but lately I've been kind of in a mood to go more towards the blue end. I don't know what that really means. It's just the way that I've been going. Something else I'm going to try. It's not something that I necessarily will do in like, but it's something to try. Is you can paint in on water, and sometimes if you reduce the clarity and the sharpness sliders, you can actually get a nice softening look to it, which actually will almost mimic the like a longer exposure. It's not going to be, you know, what a longer exposure is, but it does soften it up a little bit and kind of give it a little bit of a interesting look. I don't want to go over the hill there though. That would look a little weird. So you have to really be careful about what you decide to soften. So I guess this is pretty much where I'm going to leave it. Something like this is a pretty good edit, I guess. We can always go down to our, let's see, our detail tab, and maybe add a little bit of sharpening and some of these sliders here. I'm only gonna go pretty hard lines there. So it's pretty good. I like the scene. I think the scene really is just amazing. So It's a lot of fun to edit. If you would like to submit your own photograph for this particular series, please venture on over to my site. You can follow this link right here, and you can sign up and send me your photos, and I will add them to a future community edit, and we'll all take a stab at seeing what we can come up with. So again, just in case you're curious, here was the before image, and here's my after image. Quite a difference. I don't know if it's to your liking, but I'm pretty impressed with the way that it turned out. So thank you for watching this, and again, I do need more submissions, so please send them my way if you like this idea, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.